Hey everybody, thanks for taking some time today. This is John over at Bedrock Data. I'm joined with my colleague Adrian. We're going to be back with you in just one moment. We're letting everybody get into the webinar right now. All right everybody, we're going to get started here on today's webinar. Thanks for joining us today on how to sync third-party data with Zoho CRM. We're going to be talking about integrations. We're going to be talking about some data. Hopefully we'll have some fun while we're at it.
And we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Adrian Mott, VP Marketing at Bedrock Data, joined by...
I'm John Marcus, CEO, also co-founder here at Bedrock Data. And if you see at the bottom of the screen, bedrockdata.com/Zoho, that'll take you direct to our site, get you more information about how Bedrock Data integrates Zoho with various other systems. Also, want to take a moment, make sure that you follow us on Twitter, check us out on Facebook. And if you have other questions, be sure to reach out to us. We'll have contact information at the end. Again, keep those questions flowing in the chat pane. So a few housekeeping notes for you. This webinar is being recorded. We'll have the content available on our site after the webinar. We want you to ask questions. If we don't cover it over the course of our presentation, we'll make sure that at the end we get you the right answers. And you can try out an integration today at my.bedrockdata.com, jump straight into the product, or again at bedrockdata.com/Zoho. Now, quick agenda for what we're going to be going through today. We've got about 40 minutes set aside. And we're going to go through 50 slides. I know 50 slides in 40 minutes seems aggressive, but fortunately, very graphics heavy, and we want to get to the content. So there's going to be lots of images. We may have time for a quick demo. We're going to see how that works. If not, again, go to bedrockdata.com/Zoho to get more answers for you. And then at the end, we want to make sure we got time for Q&A.
All right, so let the fire hose begin, guys. As John mentioned, 50 slides. We're going to go pretty fast through them. So make sure you get those questions in at the end. But let's begin. So we are talking today about integrating data with Zoho CRM. And how many of you guys are used to dealing with this, right? This has been the answer to syncing your data between systems for years and years, right? You export data out of one system, manually import it into another. There's probably some translation that has to happen along the way. This is essentially the reason why we started Bedrock Data in the first place. As our IT guy in-house likes to say, gone are the archaic days of manually sifting through company data, transferring it manually. We all know what a headache that can be using spreadsheets, right? So we're here to sort of let you guys know that there's a better way. There's a better option today.
Yeah, and what we want to talk about is data integration. And this is a concept that up to this point has been really tough. My background is in some IT operations. I've worked in sales, I've worked in marketing. I've seen all the different parts of a business that have data stored in databases. And when we talk about data integration, what we're really discussing is how to make the data flow between these different systems. So you may have a marketing system, and in the marketing system you'll have contacts, and inside of your finance system there may be invoices or subscribers, and then you also have your CRM with your leads and your potentials and your accounts and so on and so forth. And then before, this used to be a very large project. We're talking 6 to 12 months here. We're talking consultants involved, figures in the 6 digits just to get this stuff set up, and then astronomical costs on a go-forward basis. And the reason that this cost so much in the past, and how in the previous times it was so difficult to implement an integration, is because there was no straightforward way to move this data back and forth. You had to have an IT individual. You had to have an application developer, a consultant, somebody who wrote code to make these systems talk back and forth. And as Adrian will walk us through, that dynamic has changed. The landscape now is much more integratable, much more open. But up to this point, it's been a big hairball of a mess. Now, in today's day, it's a lot simpler. What we're talking about is connections instead of this amalgamation of different data types moving back and forth. The way that kind of Bedrock Data and the way that the new kind of front of integrations look at this is it's more of a kind of combination of data. So it needs to go from system A to system B and back. So before, what we would see is in one system, you may have a contact, and in another system, you have a contact, and you want those things to stay in sync. You want them to line up So with a system like Bedrock Data or with other options that are out there, we're talking about data integration from the aspect of being able to keep this data synchronized. Now, there's a very specific part of this definition that I want to harp on and take a little break away from the presentation to talk about, and it's bidirectional. Bidirectional integration means the data is moving in both directions. We're going to talk about Zoho. We're going to talk about some cool things that you can do with that integration, and also how it can influence and affect how you use other systems. So for us, when we think of integrations, this is not a one-way integration. This is not copying data from Zoho out to our finance system or copying in from a marketing system into Zoho. This moves in both directions, and we believe that this is the demarcation line as to whether or not a system is integrated. Otherwise, it's just kind of a copy and paste. There was this old type of software called ETL, extract, transform, load, and that's all, again, in the past. In the future, now we talk about data sets being in sync. They should be in line with one another. They should not be disparate data sets. If John Doe has a phone number in system A, he should have the same phone number in system B. And that's really what differentiates a bidirectional integration from what we call an event-driven or a unidirectional integration. And Bedrock Data is one of those systems. And we'll talk about how you can use a system like Bedrock Data to be able to connect all these things together. Now, I want to kind of take a step back from where we're at and really discuss how a system like Zoho, with the different objects, is able to go and communicate with so many other things. And once we talk about how it can communicate, we'll show you some ideas and how you can really put that to use.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about how platforms work and what a platform is. Really, this relates back to how an integration works, as John mentioned. Platforms today are really, sort of modern ways to write web applications that essentially allow you to have what's called an API layer that allows you to push and pull data back and forth. There's a lot of different platforms out there today. Zoho CRM, obviously a lot of you are using. The phone that's probably in your pocket or in your purse is a platform as well. Android, iOS, Apple. These companies are making platforms that let developers write code on top of them rather than just having sort of a static web application for you to use. So what that means on the sort of underneath the covers, if you will, is that there's one of these, an API. And an API stands for Application Programmable Interface. Basically what that means is that you can, or a developer on your team, can write code that allows you to push and pull data to and from that system. It's the same thing with your phone. It's the same thing with Zoho CRM. Same thing with your finance app, your support app, anything that you might be using. Basically what we're seeing here is that modern web applications, modern technology, modern systems today all have this API baked into them. And it's really how integrations work. So when we create a bidirectional integration, for instance, at Bedrock Data, what we're doing is we are writing the code utilizing the APIs that all these systems offer to push and pull data to and from those systems in an automated way. So let's take a little bit deeper dive into how an integration can work. There's sort of 4 steps at a high level. The first one is basically taking a picture of your data, so baseline snapshot, where Bedrock or another integration platform is going to create a snapshot of your data, take a picture, understand what data you have in both systems so that we can use that data to deduplicate later, to provide updates later, things like that. Then a change will occur, whether it's a new lead that gets converted and goes into your marketing system, whether it's a sales rep that makes a change to a lead or a contact within Zoho. That change is then detected by the integration. It's translated or normalized in the middle. So this is sort of some of the secret sauce of the integration platform like Bedrock, is that we're actually going to translate your data and normalize it down, assessing whether an update should be pushed, which is the last step, pushing that update back out as appropriate. So When we talk about APIs, when we talk about how integration works, there's sort of two ways you can do it. Like anything else, you can either build it yourself in-house. You can have a developer part of your development team, your IT team, build out integration using these APIs in-house. It's time consuming. It's going to cost it's going to cost manpower. It's going to cost you money to do it in-house. You have to maintain it and support it later, which is always kind of problematic. Or the other option is to buy. You can buy a product like Bedrock Data. You're going to spend a little bit of money every month, but you're going to get an automated integration out of the box.
Yeah, so when we think about these different integrations, hopefully A-Train's been able to give you an idea of how this works. When you connect your system to an integration like Bedrock Data, or you build one, there's a process of getting changes, comparing those changes, sending them out intelligently. And that kind of consistent flow of information is what makes it work. But what I want to talk about next is why you would want to integrate your data in the first place. A lot of people have different kinds of sections of data, and we can talk about data siloing in a minute. But the most kind of immediate need for people that do have integrated data sets that are trying to keep this connected is to avoid this kind of endless loop of importing and exporting data. There is always this kind of, we're going to pull information in from the system, we're going to export it to Excel, we're going to change it in Excel, we're going to load it back into whatever system that we want. It's what we call Sunday night Excel hell, because it's really the only time that you have to work on it. And we're trying to free a lot of marketers, IT people, sales reps from living that life. Instead, this should be automatic. We're trying to just abolish the whole work of exporting and importing data, because this is something that software, sufficiently advanced software, should be able to take care of for you. I mean, we already spoke about the spreadsheet here. I've seen this before. I've lived this in my prior lives over the course of my career, and I think we should just stop it. We should just stop spending time manually integrating these systems. There should be software that takes care of this. That's the whole reason that we created Bedrock Data.
All right, so where do we start? Where's the natural place to start thinking about a data integration? Well, we really think that the best place to start is in the first direction, if you will. And that means getting data into Zoho CRM so that your sales reps can use it, whoever else may be using the system can use the data that you're collecting. The first place that you're probably collecting data is on your website. You have website forms, you have landing pages. You're probably using a piece of software for this, whether it's your CMS or it's a separate landing page or form application like Wufoo or Unbounce or WordPress, some WordPress plugin that you might be using. Your forms should eventually feed data into Zoho CRM. So the first option really is, how are you getting your website data into Zoho? If you're using a website web to lead form from Zoho, great. That's a great option that'll feed automatically into Zoho. However, if you're using another marketing system, like some of these that you see on the screen here, you probably don't have a great way. Maybe you're exporting and importing data, but you probably don't have a great way of getting that data automatically into Zoho, right? We're trying to avoid having these systems be silos. You don't want your data to sit in those systems where it's not able to be worked by your sales reps. You want to get your leads to your reps in your reps' hand as fast as possible. So that's the first option. Basically, you want to be able to sync the data from these systems into Zoho. And you can do that using an automated integration like Bedrock, where when a lead gets converted from your website or automatically into this system, take GoToWebinar, for instance, which we're using for this webinar, we have that data piping automatically into our marketing system and then into Zoho CRM, and we are essentially automating that data flow, no importing and exporting. Whether you're using any of these other systems, you want to try to get that same data flow going on where you're going from your marketing system to your CRM.
And this is John. I want to really really emphasize the importance of integration here, because When you go and you have somebody register for an event or you have somebody on your mailing list, you're going to want those individuals to get updated inside of Zoho. So everybody who's attending the event today, our sales team and the team over at Zoho are going to know who showed up. And it's not creepy. It's important to have this information. We're trying to close business at the end of the day. You at your company are trying to advance the goal of your company. And what we want to make sure is that you're getting the information that you need. I know in my past in operations, it was very difficult to get this information. We did the export-import stuff, and even then it was 3-4 days late. Well, 4 days after a webinar, I've gone on, I've done something else. I've completely forgotten about it. There's probably another snowstorm that's going to hit us tomorrow. So for us, we want to make sure that we've got the most accurate and up-to-date information in as close to real time as possible. So this is definitely one very important piece of data integration, is that input part of the process. Now, let's talk about the other direction. Adrian told us why we might want information inside of Zoho. Why do we want stuff inside of Zoho in our other systems? Well, let's use one of the marketing automation systems, like a Marketo or a HubSpot. As a rep is working one of your leads, they convert into a contact, account, and a potential, and eventually that person's going to go to close. So you've closed a new piece of business, and congratulations for doing that. Now what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're not sending the same message that we had before for our non-closed prospects. We want to make sure that we update that information in our marketing systems so that we don't go sending them things like coupons or end-of-month deals. That's problematic. As a sales rep, I know that there's problems if you go and send an existing customer a coupon. They come back and they go, hey, I just got this coupon for 20% off your software. I'd like my 20% off of your commission, please. And that's not good practice, either as a sales rep or as a business, because you end up losing money in that particular position. So we want the information that's getting updated by our sales reps inside of the CRM. Maybe they typoed their name. Maybe their name's spelled differently. They spelled John and then they meant to spell Jonah. Well, we can correct that inside of the CRM, and that information will automatically get synced back out into the marketing system. So now sales doesn't have to bother marketing. They live within the system that they live in. The sales team stays inside of the CRM. The marketing team stays in the marketing system. The finance team stays inside of the finance system. That's what we want. We don't want the data siloed, but we want people to be working inside of the software that makes sense for them. And use a tool like a data integration software to be able to connect them together. So that's why we'd want information from Zoho to go back out to our other systems. What kind of information you're probably thinking? What is there available out of the Zoho platform? Well, we're going to focus just on the CRM side of things right now. Zoho has a wide expanse of products, and Bedrock Data integrates with a lot of the data types in there. But we're just going to talk CRM for the time being, and I want to focus first on the lead. So the lead or contact, kind of depending on where they're at in the sales process, represents an individual. This is John Doe or Jane Doe. They have an email address. They're inside of the CRM. They may have been a business card that you picked up at a trade show. It may have been a web form that was filled out. They became a lead. And that kind of information is really important to know because it represents a human being. At the same time, there's other pieces of information you can get out. For example, like a company. Now, a company represents that actual business entity. And if you think about it, that company can have many different leads and contacts. So when we're talking about the kind of data that we can sync back and forth, we spoke previously about kind of how this lead turns into an account, a potential, and a contact. Well, this is the account level. This is the company that's representing the potentials that are underneath that. So there's John Doe and Jane Doe and Steve and Jackie and Bob and whoever else all work for XYZ Corp. And then XYZ Corp can be related again to marketing messages. It can be related to account collection statuses. The third piece of information that you see, specifically out of the CRM side of Zoho, are these potential pieces of data. Now, a potential represents that actual sale. So stepping back and kind of talking a little bit of CRM 101 education here, we start off with that lead. We work that lead as a sales rep. And there's a certain point in time that we say, you know what? I think I can get this deal. there's some chance for me getting this deal, so I'm going to commit as a sales rep to closing this deal or working it to a close-lost state. So I'm going to move forward and push on this particular deal to get to a closure. Whether it's a win or a loss, I'm going to commit to it. And that process, what we call conversion, from a lead into an account, potential, and contact, is what creates this. So now we have this potential, which is representative of a sale. Now, again, going back to the company, there can be one company with many contacts and also many potentials. So that's really the data structure that we're talking about inside of Zoho. And in different systems, you've got different data types. Inside of, say, a recurring billing system like Recurly, you may have objects that represent a potential. There are individual subscriptions that are related to that company. You can have multiple subscriptions for that company. That's great, even more money in the bank. You can also have multiple contacts. That could be represented in a mail system. They could have multiple people from the same company go and attend a webinar. And there's a whole plethora of different custom information that you can connect back and forth. And it seems confusing at first. It seems like there's so many possibilities. But really, what are the ones that matter? Out of all of these objects that we're talking about, the lead, the contact, the potential, and the account, what are the ones that actually matter? And what I wanted to do is kind of stop for a moment here and take a little dive into some of the different things that we do and we think could be valuable. And I think this is probably the best part of this presentation, is to give you some idea on how to leverage these different data types and different systems and be able to use a system kind of like Bedrock Data to be able to go and connect them together. So let's take a moment and let's look through some of those actual integration hacks and the possibilities that come with that.
Great. Yeah. So as John said, I think some of the most interesting things about integrations are, what are the use cases of them, right? What can you actually do with one of these automated integrations? And the first one is, as the guy that does marketing here at Bedrock, that I like to talk about, is automating your marketing campaigns by syncing data from Zoho to your marketing systems. So everyone probably uses an email marketing system out there, whether it's a marketing automation system like Marketo or HubSpot, or whether it's just an email marketing system, Constant Contact, MailChimp, iContact, systems like that. What we can do is we can actually automate the syncing of your Zoho data from all those different objects that John mentioned, potential, account, contact, lead, etc., into those email marketing systems and allow you to automate campaigns. So you can set up automated campaigns that will get sent out. And some of these systems have built-in things like workflows that will allow you to automate that. Other systems will allow you to simply just build a list based on the data that's coming over from Zoho. And that automation can really sort of automate your marketing. It will automatically send out an email campaign or a drip campaign as the data is changing in Zoho, syncing over to your marketing system.
And as a sales rep, and I'm the one who's usually going out to the conferences. Adrian he puts me on a plane and tells me where I'm going, and I find out once I get there, which is kind of fun at times. But when we go to a conference, we may run into potential prospects for Bedrock Data. When we talk to businesses that are saying, yeah, absolutely, we do need help with data integration. We do need a system. And I tell them, stop by the website. It's easy enough to sign up and set up. But for some people, they need more information. So I'm going to get a business card and I'm going to put it in my pocket. Well, I'm not going to go and try to figure out which system it needs to go in. Does it need to go in MailChimp or is it Marketo? I can't remember. All I need to know, and what my sales team does, is that I can go and plug that into Zoho CRM in one place, one time, and Adrian and his team are going to be able to market to those people regardless of the tool that they're using. So all I have to do is take my business cards at the end of the day, punch them into Zoho. I can even do it on the web or on my mobile device via the web and get that information quickly and easily into Zoho. After that, Bedrock Data does the lifting for me and moves it out into the systems. And if Adrian didn't want to use MailChimp and he wanted to use iContact or maybe Constant Contact, it doesn't matter. Because all I have to do with my reps is make sure that they enter in their business cards. At the same time, if we're getting information from all these different systems, at like a conference, we have a scanner where we're picking up information, and we get that, and it comes in like a little spreadsheet. Again, I just load it into Zoho, and then Bedrock Data will take it from there.
Yeah, it's a great use case from a marketing standpoint. We love that. It's all your data in one place, and it syncs out appropriately. So the second use case that I want to talk about is sort of being a hero to your sales reps, literally. This next use case really has to do with syncing analytics data about what your leads are doing. So you have the ability through an automated integration to define certain analytical fields, whether it's around email marketing, whether it's around website visits, conversion information, what forms are they filling out, what offers are they downloading on your website. It might be social media information, their LinkedIn profile, Twitter profile, number of followers, things like that. And you have the ability to sync that data over into Zoho and inform your sales team. Really what you're doing, you're giving your sales team more ammunition to use in their deals in order to close more effectively. So this next use case really is getting as much data as possible out of your marketing system, out of your analytics tools, syncing that over into Zoho, again, through an automated integration like Bedrock, to allow your sales reps to use more data, close more deals.
Yeah, and I want to take a quick step off to the side here and talk about a situation recently we had. We recently closed quite a large customer for Bedrock Data. We try to make things simple and easy, but what we had was a probably close to 6-month conversation going on with this prospect. And we had figured they dropped off of the face of the planet. We had 3 different contacts at the company. We'd done demos for everybody. It was dragging on. And as a system that's a self-sign-up, self-setup system, it's a little bit out of our norm to work a particular potential as hard as we did. So we just kind of figured, well, they just weren't ready for it. They didn't want an integration. We're going to kind of leave it by the wayside. And that information that came to us from one of our marketing automation systems that we use said, hey, they're back on the site. Not only are they back on the site, but they're looking at your pricing page. So after close to 3 months of no contact, we were able to get back on the phone, talk to the right contact, because again, this is information that's coming to us from a different system into Zoho. We were able to get back on the phone and in under a week close that deal. Without this information, we would have just assumed that this deal was dead. So a large portion of revenue is now in the bank. We have a happy customer set up and signed up on our platform because of that information that Adrian and his team can pull down into Zoho CRM. So another huge use case of getting data back and forth between these systems where Zoho, again, is part of the mix. So kind of this third piece has to do with exactly that situation that I was talking about, reconversions. What happens when somebody comes back to the site? Well, maybe they came back to the site, maybe they added something to their cart in an e-commerce situation, and maybe they didn't complete that second order. Maybe they came back and they refilled out a form or they checked out a few new pages. This is the time that you can use both your marketing side as well as your sales side to help to bring a deal across the line. So my previous example was in how sales got additional information from the marketing team to help them to close a deal. Well, let's talk about how marketing can help themselves. How can we talk about how a marketing team can use the existing leads that the sales team and marketing team have generated? John Doe and Jane Doe are already in the database. Well, they're already in the database, they don't count anymore. Well, that's a bunch of bull. Instead, what we want to do is we want to reawaken and recycle, as you can see from this infographic, really recycle these leads back into the sales funnel. The timing may not have been right. 60 to 70% of the leads that we generate, the timing's just not right for them. It may be a couple weeks, it may be a couple months, but they were still interested and they still have a need to integrate their data. So for us, we want to make sure that the marketing team is providing the continued nurturing from the marketing side and that the sales team is staying on top of those activities. And this blend between sales and marketing in recycling these leads helps to drive up efficiency. In my past roles at different companies, we've seen 30 to 40% of all net new business come from recycled leads. It's a very, very viable channel, and far too many businesses out there are not utilizing both the sales and marketing tools that they need to be able to get these people across the line. Now, this last one, so part of the sales role here at Bedrock Data is also making sure that our customers are happy, they're healthy, but then also paying us on time. Now, most of the collections that we see here at Bedrock Data, and this is not unique to us, this is very much in any kind of software as a service company, are related to credit cards getting declined. And when we go into our finance system and we look and we say, well, why are these credit cards getting declined? It's just because the expiration date is passed. Or maybe somebody's no longer at that company. This is information that if we had that siloed data that Adrian was talking about, there'd be no way for us to take any action as a collections team, as a sales team, to be able to keep these customers on board. They're happy. They're using our software. But the reason that they're at risk for churn is because they just have the wrong credit card, or it expired, or somebody transferred hands of the company. So what we want to do is we want to give our collections and sales team the ability to know what's going on. And we get these messages from those systems like a Recurly or other finance type systems into Zoho so that we can alert the sales reps with workflow. We can alert the marketing team if we should start triggering nurturing to try what has been kind of nicknamed the Dunning process, which has a whole history. You can go and Google that. But we want to make sure that the people that are on our software stay on our software. So this is kind of a particular tip for those SaaS businesses on the call today. But now, as we kind of wrap up here, we're just past the 34-minute mark. I want to make sure we have a little bit of time for Q&A. Let's take a step back. Let's talk specifically about why we want to integrate data. The main thing to think about with data integration is saving time, saving money. There's so much power that can be built up with using a data integration, but there's at the same time so much money lost in trying to do this stuff manually. There's time spent on the payroll, having people just integrate this data. There's also so much effort from the marketing, sales, and operations teams to try to keep all this stuff in sync. And instead, what we want to do is make sure that we have all of the information necessary in the systems at the right place at the right time. And what we see with our customers, the stories that happen over and over again, is that this is saving me so much money. This is giving me the ability to have my Sunday nights back, to actually get back to focusing on the work that's important. Integration is absolutely key in each of these use cases. Now, I want to take a quick stop here at the end. We've talked about how to connect these systems. Bedrock Data is one of the tools, one of the premier tools, I think. Then again, I'm biased, to be able to connect various different systems together. It's super easy to use. It's all drop down. There's 3 steps. You connect your systems, you map them, you start your integration. And we'd love you to stop by bedrockdata.com/demo if you wanted to talk with our sales team, or you can go to my.bedrockdata.com and jump right into the product. If you've got questions, support.bedrockdata.com can help you out as well.
Great. Well, thanks everybody so much. That's actually the last slide. If you'd like to get in touch with us, as John mentioned, we have our contact information here, bedrockdata.com. You can jump right into the product, my.bedrockdata.com if you'd like. Otherwise, if you'd like to see a demo, you can hop on a quick demo of the sales rep here at bedrockdata.com/demo. Thank you to Zoho CRM, our friends there. Thank you to everyone who's attended. And for John, I'm Adrian. Over and out. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.